Welcome to Arcadia Dyslexia Africa, the only bilingual channel for the fight against dyslexia in Africa. Understanding dyslexia. Clearing myths in African communities. In many parts of Africa, children who struggle with reading, writing, or spelling are often labeled with words that sound lazy, stubborn, distracted, or even rebellious. In some cases, families and communities go as far as attributing these difficulties to spiritual causes, curses, witchcraft, or ancestral punishment. A child who hesitates while reading aloud or struggles to recall how to spell a simple word may be seen as defiant or disinterested in learning. But what if these children aren't slow learners or difficult students? What if they are dealing with a specific and often misunderstood learning difference known as dyslexia? Despite growing global awareness of dyslexia and other learning differences, the subject remains largely unfamiliar or ignored in many African societies. As a result, countless children and adults across the continent endure stigma, frustration, and exclusion within their educational and social environments. Left undiagnosed and unsupported, many learners fall through the cracks, carrying the weight of shame for something beyond their control. This explores what dyslexia really is, the myths that persist about it within African communities, and why dismantling these misconceptions is vital for building inclusive, supportive societies where every child and adult can thrive. Understanding dyslexia. At its core, dyslexia is a neurological difference that affects a person's ability to process written and spoken language. It impacts skills such as reading, spelling, writing, and sometimes speaking. It is not a reflection of a person's intelligence or effort. In fact, many people with dyslexia possess remarkable abilities in other areas such as creativity, problem-solving, storytelling, entrepreneurship, and hands-on skills. Globally, dyslexia affects between 5% and 15% of the population. While no precise figures exist for African countries due to limited research and public awareness, experts believe the prevalence is comparable, if not higher, because of underdiagnosis and cultural stigma. In environments where academic success is measured through memorization and speed, the signs of dyslexia often go unnoticed or misinterpreted. Key characteristics of dyslexia: difficulty reading fluently and accurately, problems with spelling, even simple or familiar words, trouble recognizing rhyming patterns or letter sequences, slow, hesitant, or laborious reading, difficulty remembering sequences, such as the days of the week, phone numbers, or directions, challenges with organizing thoughts or recalling spoken instructions. It's important to understand that these difficulties persist despite normal intelligence and adequate teaching. Dyslexia is not a phase or a sign of laziness, it's a lifelong condition. However, with the right support systems, such as specialized teaching strategies, early identification, and emotional encouragement, people with dyslexia can excel in school, careers, and life. The persistence of myths in African communities. Although awareness about dyslexia has improved in parts of the world, harmful myths and misconceptions still flourish across many African societies. These beliefs not only misrepresent the condition, but also perpetuate stigma and injustice against those who live with it. Let's expose some of the most common myths. Myth 1. Dyslexia is not real, it's laziness or bad behavior. In many African homes and classrooms, a child who struggles with reading is often labeled as lazy, stubborn, or inattentive. Teachers may accuse them of not paying attention or being deliberately disruptive. Parents, unaware of the condition, might assume the child is lazy or deliberately avoiding academic work. Fact: dyslexia is a medically recognized, brain-based condition. It has nothing to do with laziness or disobedience. In reality, many children with dyslexia work twice as hard as their peers to keep up, often with little understanding or support. Myth 2. Dyslexia is caused by witchcraft, curses, or ancestral wrath. In rural and traditional African communities, unexplained conditions are sometimes attributed to spiritual or supernatural causes. A child struggling in school may be thought to be cursed, possessed, or under an ancestral punishment. Fact: dyslexia is a neurological difference. It has no connection to witchcraft, evil spirits, or curses. It can be identified through educational assessments and supported with evidence-based teaching methods. Myth 3: only English speakers get dyslexia. Because dyslexia is often discussed in English-speaking contexts or linked to challenges with the English language, some believe it only affects those learning English. Fact: dyslexia exists in all cultures and languages. Whether a person is reading in English, French, Yoruba, Zulu, Swahili, Arabic, or Xhosa, dyslexia affects how their brain processes written language. The specific challenges may differ depending on the language structure, but the underlying neurological difference remains the same. Myth 4: people with dyslexia cannot succeed academically. African classrooms typically emphasize memorization, timed reading, and rigid examination systems. In such environments, dyslexic students often struggle to perform at the expected pace, leading to the assumption that they are incapable of academic achievement. Fact: with proper intervention and support, individuals with dyslexia can succeed academically. Globally, many accomplished figures, including Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Whoopi Goldberg, and Richard Branson, lived with dyslexia. Africa, too, has many undiagnosed but successful individuals whose talents flourish outside conventional academic frameworks. Myth 5: dyslexia can be cured by punishment or prayer. Some parents or teachers resort to discipline, punishment, or intense prayer sessions in hopes of correcting a child's learning difficulties. Fact: while discipline and spiritual life have their roles in character building, dyslexia is a neurological condition that cannot be cured through punishment or prayer. It requires targeted educational interventions and compassionate support. More harmful myths about dyslexia. Here are additional myths that continue to cause harm. Dyslexia is a vision problem. Dyslexia is not caused by eyesight issues. Though some children may experience visual processing difficulties, dyslexia is primarily a language processing issue. It only appears in elementary school. Early signs can be detected in preschoolers through difficulties with language, rhyming, and sequencing. Kids with dyslexia just need to try harder. Effort alone isn't enough. The brain of a child with dyslexia processes written language differently. Specialized, multisensory instruction is essential. Dyslexia goes away with reading practice. While intervention improves reading skills, dyslexia is lifelong. Challenges with spelling, writing, or reading fluency may persist. Dyslexia is rare, it's common. An estimated 10% of people globally show signs of dyslexia, yet many African children go undiagnosed due to stigma and lack of awareness. Only boys have dyslexia. Boys are often more likely to be diagnosed because of behavioral signs in school, but dyslexia affects both genders equally. People with dyslexia are not intelligent. Intelligence is not linked to dyslexia. Many people with dyslexia excel in areas like creativity, leadership, design, music, and problem solving. Why these myths are dangerous? Misconceptions about dyslexia don't just confuse people, they have real, lasting consequences. Shame and low self-esteem. Children who internalize labels like stupid or cursed often struggle with confidence and self-worth. Family conflict. Parents and extended family members may blame each other or the child for their struggles. School dropouts. Without support, many dyslexic students disengage and eventually leave school early. Wasted potential. Untapped talents remain hidden because children are not given a chance to discover their strengths beyond traditional academics. The importance of awareness and early intervention. The good news is that dyslexia does not have to be a life sentence of struggle and shame. Awareness campaigns, teacher training, parent education, and early intervention can transform lives. In some parts of Africa, for instance, some inclusive schools have begun integrating multisensory teaching methods, using sight, sound, movement, and touch to help children learn. In Kenya, grassroots campaigns are working to break the stigma around learning differences through parent workshops and radio discussions. More of these efforts are urgently needed across the continent. When communities understand dyslexia, they can support children with learning differences without shame. Offer alternative pathways for academic success. Reduce school dropout rates. Nurture talents in music, art, business, storytelling, and craftsmanship. Build a more inclusive, compassionate society. Conclusion: every mind matters. Dyslexia is not a curse, laziness, or a punishment. It is a learning difference affecting millions of people around the world, including Africa. The persistence of harmful myths only serves to exclude, stigmatize, and waste potential. By raising awareness, providing early intervention, and embracing inclusive education practices, African communities can empower all children to reach their full potential. After all, not every great mind thinks, reads, or learns in the same way, and that's a beautiful thing.